Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod here to assess the newly released cast of Big Brother 27. I'll be going off their interviews, some social media that came up, and ranking them in order based on how well I think they'll play the game. Before I dive in, I'll be doing episode recaps for this season and weekly player rankings. If you like the video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. You can use the link in the description to try Paramount Plus for free, just in time to catch the premiere and the live feeds. Differing from my last few first impression rankings, I made a rubric ranking 5 categories, each on a scale of 1 to 10, which would help give everyone a total score, and I'm basing my rankings completely on that score alone. Categories are competition ability, their game plan heading into the game, strategy, which isn't their strategy, but more the type of player they'll actually be, especially as it relates to the other players and their game plans, social game, which is a bit obvious, and finally a score on their overall first impression. How did their presentation make me feel? Would I want to work with them? Let's get into it, starting with number 17, with Ava, a 24-year-old aura painter from Long Island, New York. She's an art teacher who works with kids, and she goes to the park in the city and does portraits, so she'll draw you and paint colors around you to match your aura. She's funny. She says she needs to win because she's broke. No showmances for her. She has a boyfriend, but she says the guys she likes wouldn't pass a background check to be there. She's pretty natural in the diary room. Very sassy. She gives a little bit of Blue Kim Kitty Purr vibe sometimes, but let's cut to the chase here. Low points for competitions. I can't see her winning much. She may not even be competitive. Her game plan is to read people's auras, which is a terrible plan. It truly would be better to say you have no plan. I can't see a place for her here strategically. Like, yeah, she wants to win the money, but I can't see her playing well enough to win it. She says her weakness is she's an artist and seems very emotional and empathetic, so she could get played easily. With that said, she may have a good social game and may be able to make some friends. Maybe she'll be included in a women's alliance or something. And she could be a good number for somebody, so social is her best stat here. While she did make me laugh, it's players like this sometimes that make it way too far and kill the season, so I'm gonna give a 3 on a first impression. In 16th, I have Kelly, who's a 29-year-old web designer from Burbank, South Dakota. She calls herself a farm kid with strong work ethic, and she feels like going to a small school with the same kids the whole time will help her when she's locked away with a small group of people. She's obviously smart. She looks smart, so I think she could win something, but I don't feel great about her as a competitor. She calls herself clumsy, and she herself thinks she'll be bad at competitions, so I can't give high marks there. Her game plan is to downplay her success in business and to make friends. She doesn't really have a game plan though. She actually says she wants to make friends multiple times throughout her interview, and it's going to be really sad when she realizes the other players aren't there to make friends. She may take it really personally when she's targeted. As for strategy, I hope someone takes her in as a number, but I'm left with not a lot of hope that she'll really be able to do much strategically. I even want to give her points for social game, but her story about her small town and not meeting many people make me feel like she actually may not have the social skills that it takes to have good social game. I gave her the best score on first impression because despite her maybe not being the best player, I do think I'll be rooting for her to do well. In 15th, I have Amy, a 43-year-old insurance agent from Stockton, California. She's a mom, mamacita, a mommy. She has a human child, 3 of them. She'll be missing them a lot and talking to them on the feeds, which might be annoying even for them. She says she'll try her best in competitions. She could win something, but it's still low scores because she doesn't have confidence in herself. She says she's good at making connections with people, and given that she works with people and their money for a living, I believe it. She says her biggest strength is social game. I believe her on that too. So that's her highest score from me. I slightly lowered her social game score because she says her plan is to work with the women to get all the men out, which makes me feel like she may not be interested in working with the men at all. Amy's game plan is to have an all-girls alliance. She was so passionate about this. She cussed. Okay, Amy, believe in it. But based on the success of girls' alliances in the past, this is a bad game plan. They rarely work. Banking on it working is a bad plan. But after seeing the rest of the interviews, there are a few women who make comments about men not being shit, so she may have some hope. I gave her a decent score for first impression because I know I'm going to stand her no matter what. The next 2 players tied, and if there was a tie, I settled it by going based off my first impression score. So in 14th, I have Isaiah, who goes by Zay, 23-year-old salesperson from Provo, Utah. First glance is he's obviously very fit. Fitness is a big part of his personality, referring to himself on social media as natural gym bro. That'll help in competitions. And while I did by the end of the interview feel like he was cooking with some gas or at least fumes mentally, I can't see him doing too well in the more mental competitions, so I give him a 6 there. He refers to himself as a fierce competitor in all regards and says he's going to sweep away the competition like a janitor. We'll see about that. By way of strategy, there wasn't a lot of chat about targeting the big threats early from the other players, but there was a lot of talk about targeting big threats in the mid game. I think he'd make some connections, be involved in some things. He's friends with Sammy from Survivor, so I'd hope he got some tips from him. I feel like he'll bond easily with some of the other guys, but all of his Instagram pictures are him and other bros. He even makes jokes online like, if your mom's number was a dollar amount, how much money would you have? Some of these ladies will have no time for Zay. By way of a game plan, he doesn't have much to say. He says he has zero strategy but to adapt, which is an okay thing, but I feel like he's just saying that because he knows he's not the best player. And he didn't say anything to really give me confidence that he's prepared for this, though he seems to know at least that winning competitions early will make him a threat. And finally, on my first impression, he says he's going to be so fun that people are gonna log into the live cams to watch him eat, and he doesn't wanna have a showmance. I personally don't feel like he's gonna be doing anything that will make me wanna switch over to his live feed. There are some players I avoid their feed at all costs, and he's probably one of them. I didn't find him very fun, so it's a lower score for me, dog. In 13th, I have Keanu, a 33-year-old dungeon master from McKinney, Texas. So he says he's a dungeon master, meaning he hosts Dungeons and Dragons, but he's really a personal trainer and nutritionist. I feel like we're gonna get the dungeon master in the diary room, but never on the feeds. Based on him being fit and smart, I give him high scores for competitions. His game plan was all over the place. He says he wants to hide behind his physique and not let people know he's smart. Then he says he's not afraid to let people know he's a nerd. Then he randomly says he doesn't like how Enzo plays, but he also wants to play like Enzo. Super contradictory, and like I said, all over the place, leading to low scores there. For social game, he doesn't seem very charismatic, though he does claim the dungeon mastering makes him good at connecting with people, so we'll see. In the big strategy picture, I don't see him being obviously targeted right away. He could be involved in some things, but the first impression was weird. So many things he said were contradictory that it made me roll my eyes several times. In 12th, we're finally getting to Mystery House Guest. So much of the online chatter has been about this teased mystery player. Last season, I put the Mystery House Guest just above the players I thought were just not good, and it ended up being Ainsley. So this could also just be a stunt or a gag, but based on the speculated names and past returnees, I feel like I can build an average returnee profile with the stats. Firstly, I'd expect a vet to be decent enough in competitions, with at least some experience in the past. Most returnees, when mixed with newbies, will win multiple competitions in a season. By way of strategy, returnees, especially when there's just one, typically rely on finding followers by teaming up with the more brainless players. I think Suri is an exception to all of this logic because she was in there with her own son and she's Suri, but when I think of Paul or Jesse, I expect a player to be handed some kind of huge power or safety in the beginning, and between their army and the power, they do survive rounds, but other players who don't care about their clout resent them and don't want them to win. So it ends up being low marks on strategy, but slightly higher for social game. I would expect a returnee to team up with people they know are fans of them and be the leader, which in a really long game isn't the best plan, but they don't have much else they can do. And my first impression of this is the show isn't doing a good job getting us excited for it. I have low hopes for this person without the help from any other returnee, and I'm not even confident this person won't be just a stunt who is murder mysteried in the premiere. So it's a 48. In 11th, I have Adrien, 23-year-old carpenter from San Antonio. Adrien is all about Adrien. He calls himself the best Big Brother player ever. He practiced by sleeping on the floor and making his own slop. He even prepared by reading psychology books. He says there's nobody better than him and calls himself the king, a genius, and a social mastermind. He's all over the place, so let's break it down. Firstly, I do think he's smart and fit and could be good at competitions. He was very likable in his photo, but the more of his interview I watched, the more annoyed I got by him. For his game plan, he wants to try to win the first HOH and then talks about throwing the HOH if he can trust people left in the game. He says his plan is to eliminate people who he doesn't connect with in the beginning, then eliminate the competition beasts, which seems like a good plan, but I think planning to come in so hot and target people left and right isn't the best idea. Socially, he claims that he gets along well with people because he has customers, especially older women. I'm not convinced he'll have a good social game. Based on his cockiness, he may annoy the other players. But here's the thing. Everyone I saw talking about him online is over him and think he's full of himself, but what if he's right? What if he is the king, the mastermind, the best there ever was? He does have a good understanding of the game, so I'm going to give him a 6 for strategy because I think he might be able to get some things done in the game, but overall, I gave him a low score for first impression because the more I heard from him, the less I wanted to hear from him. Before you come for me in the comments, 52 is still failing. In 10th, I have Riley, a 27-year-old bull rider from Luther, Oklahoma. When I saw bull rider, I was worried that he was going to be acting crazy in the diary room, but he's super chill, down to earth, likable. He says he's a bull riding son of a bitch that means business, and the other players are going to have to try like hell to get him out of the house, which makes me feel like he'll be a big threat in challenges. He plans to be a follower and go with the flow, which is a pretty basic game plan, and I do feel he'll be likable in the house. He's like a cowboy Johnny Mac. I'm left wondering if he can really play the game to win. Overall, I think he'll end up being somebody's follower. He says his weakness is a pretty woman, and he believes everyone until they give him reason not to. I feel he's likely to be swindled, but out of everyone on this list, I think he's most likely to be voted America's favorite. In 9th, I have Zach, 27-year-old former baseball player, now marketing manager from Cartersville, Georgia. So he's obviously athletic, and by being a baseball player, there's a lot of accuracy that goes into that would make him good at carnival type games. From his interview, he seems pretty smart too, so high scores for the competitions. He says he's the complete package. His story is he's a pastor's kid. He came out of his shell in college. He said his first day in college, he saw someone smoke weed for the first time. Zach's wildin'. He's got stories. He has a lot of plans. He wants to make sure he's spending time with other players, even if they're different from him, play up the pastor's kid side of things. Guess he won't be talking about that weed. He wants to lay low. He hopes there's an Angela in the house to take the attention off him, and he'll have a secret final two with a player no one would suspect. He's not going to hide being an ex-pro baseball player. I think that's a bit silly and could paint a target on his back. He sees himself as a well-rounded player. He wants to compete like Mackenzie, play in the shadows like Chelsea, and flip things up like Tucker. He doesn't reference anything besides BB26, so he may be a newer fan who only knows of chaos and no peace. Because of him wanting to play like Tucker, he's already saying he's okay with going on the block. That blew it for me. There were a lot of ideas in his game plan. He has so much going on here, too many ingredients in the bowl. With that said, while things may not go according to his plan, he does seem like a likable enough guy who could bond with the other players. He's got stories to tell. He could have a decent social game, and if they start targeting the jocks, there are other guys that are way more ripped that could take the shot before him. I could also see him figuring things out strategically because he does seem pretty smart. Overall, I was more pleased with his impression than I was expecting. I did leave off feeling good, even though I didn't love everything he had to say. In 8th, I have Clifton Will Williams. He's a 50-year-old sports podcaster from Charlotte, North Carolina. He goes by Will, but also Captain Will. Firstly, he has immaculate vibes. I love his voice. He's a veteran with 5 kids, but he's not planning to tell the group that he's a veteran, just that he's a women's basketball podcast host. By way of competition ability, I'm going to give him a 4. He could win something at some point, but I give him highest scores for his social game. I'm confident he'll be well liked and respected in the house, and they'd like his stories. He talks a lot about how he's a cool guy, but doesn't say anything about actual strategy or anything that makes me feel like he's seen the show or thought too much about it. He even said immunity at some point, which makes me feel like he doesn't really know this show that well. His plan is to build an alliance of 2 men and 2 women that he can basically coach. I feel like this is likely to be a pretty fake alliance to appease him, and while I don't think he would take the fall for it, I feel like he won't really be a respected player in the game. At least he has a plan, and it's not all over the place, but in the big picture, I can see him being someone everyone wants to include, but I'm not so sure he can whip up strategies to outsmart the rest of the group. I'm giving high scores for first impression though. I really like his vibes and would want to work with him if I were there. In 7th, I have Lauren, 22-year-old bridal consultant from Lafayette, Louisiana. She looks so familiar and it was driving me crazy until I realized she looks like younger Chriselle Staus. She ate this promo pic up. She doesn't talk much about her life or her job, but she calls herself competitive and a super fan. She gave such generic answers throughout this interview, saying she plans to start off laying low, get more active later on, which is a good game plan, but also what everyone says. She seems really sweet. I'm sure she'll be well liked by the other players. Social game is probably her strongest suit, but I can't see her leading the group in strategy. I got a great first impression from her, and I'm sure I'll be rooting for her, but I just didn't get enough from this interview, good or bad, to not give average scores across the board. Getting to 6th place, the first player who, if this were a test, would pass with 66 points is Jimmy, 25-year-old AI consultant from Washington, D.C. Firstly, he's really annoying in the diary room, but I'll look past it, but it's really hard to look past it. He has animals and a long-term boyfriend, and his career as an AI consultant from DC seems suspicious. He claims he has a good strategy because he comes from the world of manipulation. Someone working in AI saying they live in a world of manipulation makes me concerned for society, but I'll move on. He also has a really maniacal laugh, which was unsettling. So I'll start with the first impression. Low scores for me on vibes, but he does seem really smart and athletic. I'm giving him excellent scores for competition ability. His game plan is to lie about his career and say he's a tennis coach from Florida. I think that's a good idea. He wants to have a big alliance and multiple alliances within it, which is also a good plan. I actually think he could be a good player and make quick friends, and does seem like he'd be self-aware in the game. As for the social game, I do think he'll make friends, but he also calls himself a bitch and says he's gonna read a bitch down, which makes me feel like he'll have a moment like Reagan on season 12, where he rips someone a new one. And it's great TV, but could be a bit of a problem for his game. Strategically, I think he'll be in a good place in the beginning. I'd be surprised if he's out in the first 2 weeks, so I feel okay about this for him for now. In 5th, I have Vince, who's 34 and unemployed from West Hills, California. My first note I wrote was mustache. He tells us he's a super fan. Obviously, is everyone with a statement mustache in America a Big Brother super fan? He seems like a nice, normal person and says he's unemployed because he's not sure what to do in life, which is relatable. He appears smart, says he's athletic and competitive, so I gave high scores for competitions, and he'll probably get along well with others, so I gave decent social points. He plans to play each week, round by rounds like minigames, figuring out how to survive step by step, which I think is a good mindset for a game plan in general. I'm a little bit lower on the overall strategy because everyone's going to see him as an obvious threat because of his appearance. He twisted his mustache in his interview in between answers, and it seems like that's just something he naturally does, which could come across as evil geniusy to the other players. He claims he's self-aware, but may not be aware of how obvious it is that he's a fan and a gamer, and I think he needs to win a competition early to get some control in the game. As far as my first impression, these fans know all the right things to say and the way to act in the diary room to appease the other fans, so I'm cautious. He seems like the next level in the Joseph Pokemon evolution, and Joseph was my winner pick last season, so I want to give high scores scores, but I worry I'm being tricked, so I'll give a 7. In fourth, I have Catherine, 23-year-old fine dining server from Columbia, South Carolina. Firstly, all dining is fine dining to me. She has cute, giggly energy. She studied PR, and through that, feels she can twist stories. Through the interview, she came off super smart, making me feel decent about her in competitions. Her game plan is to make genuine connections and make friends, but also sneak into people's game plans. It seemed like the right thing for her to be doing, operating like Leah last season, but on purpose. Through her serving, she feels like she's become good at acting like she likes people even when she doesn't. She says she wants to play up being the ditzy girl, which could be funny, and is open to a showmance for the fun of it. I think she'll have great social game and be included in things, and through that, she could become part of the bigger strategy, though I'm not so confident that she can lead the strategy. She gave us a little hint that she has more depth than the regular young person, and that she's been through a lot more than others her age, which has me interested in seeing more, leading to a great first impression score. In third, I have Mickey, 35-year-old event curator from Atlanta, Georgia. She's instantly likable and talks about dealing with men in the workplace. She gave some really great answers, but none that would make me feel she'd do that well in competitions, but she's really confident, which could help. You have to have that winner's mentality. Her game plan is to lay low in the background and be a girl's girl. She says she'll be dominating with femininity, wearing pink and kicking butt. She also loves the cookout, and I think her dedication to what she repeated was femininity and dominating in business against the guys. If there's a girls' alliance, I think she'll be on board, and maybe be the one who takes the fall for it when it falls apart. I think she has a decent plan. She wants to lay low and make her move, but in practicality, she has such a huge personality. It'll be hard for her to really hide it, and her personality may make her a target, but overall, I really like her and got a great vibe from her overall presentation. In second, I have Ashley, 25 years old from Chicago. She grew up doing pageants and modeling, but also ran track. Eventually, she studies at Georgetown Law and pursues a career in law. I gave her high scores for competitions. With her background in track, and she's a lawyer, so she's got the brains. By way of strategy, she calls herself a strategy assassin in the courtroom. I feel like this is a backable claim. I left off feeling like she'll be a competent player, though I do worry that she's so put together that it may be seen as a threat. By way of social game, she grew up doing arts and athletics and calls herself a secret nerd, which could help her connect with so many people on this cast. She's outspoken and wants to stand up for what she feels is right. I'd love to see her be the voice of the people in the house, though she may call a bit of attention to herself in the process. She plans to downplay her strengths and lie about her job, never admitting that she's a lawyer. I think she can get away with it. She wants to target the showmances, but she's also down for one, which was funny. She plans to start off not winning things, then ramp it up towards the end. I think that's a great plan. Where have I heard that before? And overall, this was a great presentation. She shouted out Big Brother After Dark and was doing a lot of pandering to show she's one of us. So I gave high scores on first impression, though I am worried that these were all perfect answers, and pageantry and lawyering definitely help with giving the right answers. So I hope it stays good and everything is well and we're all happy. But in first place with 82 points, and through that, my winner pick is Morgan, 33-year-old model and gamer from LA. She competitively plays first-person shooters and survival games. Me too, I love Fortnite, Dead by Daylight. She's chill, real, and natural in the diary room, and says she wants to bring us the tea. I quickly felt really good about her, which led to a high first impression score. Not only is she a smart gamer, which will make her good at competitions, she's also a former D1 track athlete, so high scores from me there. Her plan is to keep her gaming profession a secret and lay low, start turning out wins in the end when she has to, more good answers. She's even not afraid to make big moves early if she has to. She was another player who made slight comments about how she's used to playing against men in her industry. I feel like she'll be good with the girls and the guys, and I have faith that she'll be able to play well. The rest of this group don't seem like they'll really be able to tell if she's lying. They're all lying about their jobs, so I'm good with this winner pick. But let me know in the comments, who's your winner pick? Actually, what are your whole rankings? I've said too much for today, but I'll be back on Thursday to recap the premiere. I'll be recapping the entire season with weekly player rankings. I'm excited to see how wrong I was about all of this in the future, and you'll let me know. If you like the video, consider liking and subscribing. Until next time, you know where to find me. Bye.